To the Crusade Cast. Tonight it's me, Craven. There may be another one joining us. We're not too sure yet. But tonight we had a couple topics on hand that we wanted to go over. Transgenderism. What is transgenderism? Is it, I guess, for a lack of better terms, a mental illness? And should we really be putting laws and I guess putting the majority of Americans down so that we can put these people up on a pedestal? So if we're going to do that, maybe we should ask ourselves, what percentage does the LGBTQ community even take up? What is the controversy with the pride flag being put back up in New York? And then we also want to kind of dive into a little bit how Judaism and transgenderism actually go together, at least for lack of better wording. And then I wanted to end with the redistricting of states. So, first things first, I think it's actually a fair question for people who aren't really aware. What is a transgender person? Transgender individuals are those whose gender identity differs from the sex they were assigned at birth. Fancy way of saying it's a guy, he thinks he's a girl. Mentally. That's just a fancy way of saying it. Craven, you have a better way to put it?
No, it's pretty straightforward.
All right. I just want to make
Yeah.
sure we get our terms
Yeah.
right here. So essentially, they're confused. 100% confused because that's what this is saying. It's just putting it nicer because these people are under a protected status. They don't want to say what it is. So transgenders, let's ask ourselves, if they're not mentally ill, maybe we need to look into this a little bit different. So I have here a list of the first 3 to 4 stats. I have looked at the first 3. They all are around the same numbers. I just wanted to show you guys some of the sources, so whoever watches this video, you can pull up the first 3. Their numbers are pretty much the same. Nothing changes. Well, let's look at it. So if you go to the top, it's actually going to go through a couple percentages. And this is the William Institute. It finds that 81% of transgender adults in the U.S. have thought about suicide. 42% of transgender adults have attempted it. And 56% have engaged in non-suicidal self-injury over a lifetime. So
That's how I feel right now.
Bro, my voice does not sound that hideous. You take that back. But
You sound great.
say, yeah, he
know,
does,
right?
doesn't he? But I wanted to scroll down here because this is a list of percentages of just other things that these people are struggling with. So, based off these percentages, why are people so gung-ho on making sure that transgenders are thrown out there in the spotlight and everybody thinks they're normal? If every American today were to say that they were transgender and really suffer from this mental delusion, almost 50% of Americans would kill themselves. We have how many Americans? What, 360 something? Do you guys know the number?
360 million?
I think that's pretty accurate.
So, I mean, half
Somewhere
of
around
that
there.
population, that's not a lot of people. We should definitely support getting more kids in front of transgender people. Not to mention, they're committing quite a few mass shootings for a percentage of the population that is very small.
342 million as of February 26th, 2026.
So that would be like 16 or 160 to 170 million right off the bat almost that would kill themselves. And then that would be over 130 to 140 million people that would have suicidal thoughts. That's
Well,
pretty shocking.
I mean, if I can give my opinion to this real quick, if you don't mind me.
Absolutely. Take the floor, my friend.
So obviously, I feel like the entire thing is like a false advertisement almost. Because people come in and who knows what goes on in people's head. I mean, if you want to do it, then it's completely up to you. No one's going to stop you, but don't make it your defining character trait, first of all. I feel like many people go into it with the hope of becoming the center of attention, with the hope of joining a group, the right thing, because that's what the public media is pushing. Many people don't put in the research or the, what do you call it, the thought behind it, really. So, at least my personal opinion is that many people go into it with a false promise almost, and then when they realize what they have done to themselves, that's where these thoughts come from.
You know, you bring up a very good point because I didn't even pull up the surgeries. What's the percentage of people that go through the surgery? Because this is just overall. This number should include people who go through the surgeries, people who don't go through the surgeries. I mean, dude, 42%. That number's crazy.
It's insane. I mean, we're talking about an irreversible. I mean, when we're talking about the surgery here, but there's also pills, all like what do you call it? Hormones you can take. There's a lot of different ways on how you can approach this, and many people, even if it's just a small percentage, they commit immediately and they think to themselves, "Yeah, this is what I want. This is not." Like they think they have made up their mind and go through an irreversible process and ruin their life in the process.
I mean, that's fair. But you know what? I actually want to bring up, and I want to have an open dialogue with you guys for a minute, because I want to play the advocate. So, you guys know, I'm a conservative, I'm more right-leaning. I still say Republicans can suck it. It's just my opinion sometimes, but Democrats can too. So, let's play advocate. So, obviously, these stats here, as scary as they are, I would like to say I actually feel for these people. And why don't we just let them be the other gender that they want to be? I mean, is it harming people? Is it wrong? I honestly think they have a right to be however the way they want. You guys have an argument for that? Because I actually think that transgender people aren't crazy at all. I actually think that these people's 42% suicide rate is because society doesn't accept them as a whole, and I think they feel unfair. I think they feel unheard.
Yeah, but not to interject, but that's two separate questions, right? Should they be allowed to? I mean, if you're over 18, I even think that's kind of young. I think they should kind of ban transitioning if they're going to allow it to somewhere around the 25, 28-year range.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can do it if you want to feel like it. Because I think at that point, you know, hormonal changes, you know, your hormones have kind of run its course, man or woman at that point, right? Um, Now you're on the decline, the other aspect, right? So you're normally around 30, men start to see the dip in testosterone, and then, vice versa with women, obviously, with estrogen. But you have, as far as like the legality of being able to transition when whatever age I guess the state or federal deem necessary, I don't think that should be illegal. At the same time, sitting here and, to what Johnny was saying in regards to like it being pushed societally. I mean, if you're judging your whole personality based on if you're accepted by other people or not, that's not that's like something I mean, for instance, if someone had schizophrenia, right, they're gonna have certain ideations and stuff along those lines. Just because society doesn't approve of your schizophrenia and the way you act, or Tourette's, let's say something like that,
Yeah,
is
I always
that
struggled with that.
that is that something that's necessarily deeming it an appropriate response to that to commit suicide, or because you're judging whether you continue your life based on what society thinks of you? I mean, that is a sign of mental illness, right? Um, Whether or not society accepts you or not, that shouldn't be obviously it'll make life a little more difficult here and there, but at the same time, if you're having those thoughts because of what other people
Hmm.
think of you. And it's funny to me because, as people, we sit here and I tell you, okay, do you care what a random so and so think? No, right? It's whatever. But at the same time, I say, if I ask you, do you care what you think about yourself? You're gonna say, of course, right?
Yeah.
But in this, as human beings, for some reason, even though you just admitted to me that your opinion of yourself matters more than other people, you're willing to change yourself on what other people think of you, or in this case, commit suicide. When you just admitted that your opinion of yourself is more important than theirs, then why are you changing or why are you being influenced by it?
Well,
But it just goes to what Johnny was saying earlier about this being, forced to some extent and being promoted, and then people wanting to try to fit in, and then it being really not even something that's necessarily I would put as an illness. It's just something social, a social retardation almost to some extent. To some extent, but I mean, like I said, I don't think to go back to the original point. I don't think it should be illegal, given whatever age you decide that an individual is a full-grown adult.
yeah.
But at the same time, sitting here and promoting it, sitting here and pretending that it's normal, sitting here pretending that it's not some kind of mental problem is also not incorrect. It's incorrect. Like if I'm drinking,
Hmm.
I have an alcohol problem. Yeah, I'm of legal age. I'm drinking alcohol, but if I'm drinking every hour of every day, it's a problem.
I also
It is.
quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, not to interrupt you, Craven, but hooking on to your point. Um, the crazy part is to me is that this starts early on at the age of newborn, or honestly already. So, like you bring up, for example, the drinking example. If you want to be an alcoholic, that is your decision. If you want to
Mhm.
break down your life financially and also health-wise, that is your decision. And
Yeah.
usually, in order to make that decision, you need to be 21 years old. Obviously, it's subjective to which age. Now we're gonna decide on. It should be legal, I guess.
Mm.
But at least it would be a beginning to look at it. But if you have now parents that are obsessed with this topic, I mean, this can be in any family, and who knows what kind of reason they would have. Just
Well,
pray to God that that's not the case. Oh,
let me interject here for a minute because I don't even necessarily think that it's because society is I guess what shapes their opinion. I believe what the argument here is that it's kind of like being bullied when you're that weak kid being bullied. I think what the argument here for transgender people is we should be easier on them because they are an outcast and because they've had a lot more mental stress than most people, that we could be tolerant and be a little more patient with these people and let them live how they want to live and let them live and be open. Why hold these people's sexuality back? And why do we treat it like it's a disease when these people could be coping with many other things?
well,
Yeah, but if I cope by beating women, is that still a crime because I'm coping, or is that because is it not a crime to be dealt with? Just because you suffered in life doesn't give you a pass to induce suffering on others,
Well, how so? I
right?
mean, they're just asking to be able to dress in public how they want, say that their lifestyle should be accepted.
Yeah,
I mean, they're
yeah,
not
but I
forcing
can,
you or
I,
your kids to dress like that.
but you're exposing yourself in front of my kids,
Is a
which
dress
is a
bad?
crime. If your nuts are hanging out the bottom of it, it's technically indecent exposure. That's still a
Whoa,
crime, regardless of what gender you
whoa!
are.
Are you assigning my gender?
Yes.
I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. But no,
uh,
I get the point you're making. Like I said, I'm
The
just trying
laws
to play
apply
ad.
across the board.
I'm just
No, I
trying to
get it.
play advocate here because I understand where they're coming from. I don't agree with it, but I wanted to see if there's other answers out there. And a question would be, I guess a question would be, is let's just say we say okay to the point you were making, no short dresses. Let's just say we address some of the dress code violations that the transgenders would have. At that point, would it be okay? Like, when would we draw the line at, is it acceptable? Is it not? Do you think the majority of conservatives and Republicans can actually agree with what you're saying? Or do you think that they're kind of willing to be okay as long as certain things are met?
I think, real quick, because I was urging to say this for a moment now, but I think the major issue is not necessarily the fact that people are not okay with it, because I think most people don't care. So much stuff is going on in everyone's life nowadays. Usually, there's obviously always a minority of group that will have the time and they will dance out of the line, and you can't really control that.
Well,
But
what do you mean by
what
care? Because I wanted to find that. Like,
no,
what
of
do you mean
course.
by
Oh yeah,
care?
of course. What I mean by care is that you can be the person who you want to be. If that makes sense.
Well,
Like
I want to be
you
Superman.
can. That is good. I will support that if that makes sense. But
Are
I
you
do.
affirming my
Don't.
delusion? I'm just kidding.
No, of course. No. But the thing is, if you want to be Superman, I completely give you both thumbs up. However, do not force that mentality upon myself. You can address it, but then it's up to me if I respect it or not. Usually, many people in their life go about their day by day. I mean, honestly, it all comes down to the fact that at least when you grow up, you usually end up in your 9 to 5 routine. You go to work, you go home, usually spend time with the family. If you don't have a family, you go out with friends, something like that.
Or you drink
And
yourself to death. Or you go out and you drink yourself to death.
exactly, you go home, you start supporting your alcoholism. No, but usually, or at least in my case, if you want to be transgender, that is absolutely fine. Sure, I mean, I'm happy for you. If you're happy, I'm happy. But the thing is, I think because of what we're talking about earlier, with the constant publication, the forcing it down your throat, that be transgender and all these changes, and also how extreme most of the time it goes about it, the fact that we learn through media and how the public media is supporting the transgender movement, while in schools you see, for example, students being forced to be exposed to the idea of being transgender. And we're not talking about them just learning about it. No, it's literally almost being forced upon them, the opinion that it's great, it's amazing. If one would have a much more normal approach about it, like it can be a part of life, if that makes sense. Some people feel like that. You don't have to be one of them. If it just would be more normalized, obviously, because it is such, let me call it an extreme. Because it is such an extreme switching your gender, honestly, people our age or older generations will find it weird, because back in the day, that wasn't a thing, or no, like that was unheard of almost, just because of the times. However, let's say you take a child that was just born, and transgender has been normalized in society. If that makes sense, they don't care. They will grow up and think it's normal. If that makes sense.
I mean, Craven, do you think that's an issue? That people grow up thinking that, I mean, in my opinion, personally, this is degenerate behavior. However, like I said, I'm playing advocate. I mean, do you even see that being an issue? People growing up, seeing other people doing this, thinking it's perfectly normal to do that? Knowing that the suicide rate is 42%, should we be okay with this?
Well, then, go ahead. Sorry.
I mean, you go ahead first, Johnny.
No, yeah, I was just gonna say that obviously that topic would have to be addressed, but I think all of this, what we've already discussed, goes into those 42%. And again, I'm not just talking about normalizing it. Obviously, there has to be a proper way on how to introduce it to newer generations, because, again, as a young mind, you don't properly know yet how to form your own opinion.
Oh, I see what you're doing.
Yeah, there's an element of
the
brainwashing
public
there.
opinion, so we can put them in camps.
God damn.
I'm just kidding.
You look right through me. I'm sorry. Oh no! What am I doing?
No, I would never.
How did this get here?
Not me.
No, that is not a fire chamber. I don't know
I
what
did
you're
not-
saying.
I did not see this coming.
But anyway, try to stay on topic. So, but if I heard but if I heard you correctly, you're saying that it would be okay, but we would just have to, I guess, address some of the suicidal issues because the percentage is very high. And
100%.
obviously, you don't want people, especially kids, thinking that this is normal and having a 42% kill rate. Or self termination. But, anyways, Craven, you were saying? Because I know you let Johnny go first.
Yeah,
Thank you for that.
no worries. Yeah, so as kind of going back to where he was initially saying in regards to like the startup and everything along those lines. Um, yeah, I do believe like the first part of this education on this should be coming from the parents, not being brainwashed from a teacher or any other but other person other than the parents initially.
Mm-hmm.
Um, to I'm not really pro this even being taught in schools, to be completely honest with you. I really like the whole sex ed thing started with you needed to teach people about reproduction and STDs and to keep them safe, and now we're getting into different sexualities and all this shit. It's like, don't get me wrong, this is a conversation. I'm not opposed to people having these kind of classes, but this is the kind of shit that you should teach in like a sex and gender and culture class in college. That's, you're already at 18. People are finding their ways. People find their way. I'm not sitting here and saying that they shouldn't have guidance, but sitting here and talking to a fucking 14-year-old about the different, sex positions and
Mm-hmm.
different, hey, you might be gay, you might be this. I was like, why don't you just let them they're figuring stuff out, right? You can't drink till you're 21.
Mm-hmm.
You can go overseas and murder someone at 18, and you've limited those activities. You
Hell
limited going
yeah.
back to the you limited drinking to 21. So you're telling me someone's not mature enough to take a drink of alcohol, which is temporary as all dog shit, right? We can all agree
Mm-hmm.
to that. You piss it out, you can go over the hangover, and then especially at that age, next day you're usually popping up out of your chair, right? Like nothing ever happened.
Well,
But
I
yet
mean,
you're okay with them
yeah.
going down this road of transgenderism, which to your point is largely irreversible if you go to the down the surgery route, which is the whole transgender, I guess, premise there.
Mm-hmm.
But that's okay. But we're gonna sit here and pretend that you know they're okay to make these decisions before 18 or even at 18. That's
Mm-hmm.
okay, but a drink is at 21, which is extremely temporary. So one, there's a problem there in itself, right? With the way we're placing ages on certain activities. On top of that, going back to the whole the teaching thing, it's like you're extremely impressionable at that age. It's also the reason why I don't think that when you're talking about politics, you should have teachers going off and being so one-sided in their views to a whole class and pretending the other side is the devil, when in reality, in regards to politics too, right?
Yeah.
So I, I'm not opposed to obviously people learning that shit or even at a young age learning it, but that should be something that's not given to you whether you like it or not. And that's how I feel how it is now. And we sit here and we to Johnny's point earlier in regards to transgender and being kind of promoted and pushed forward and made to look like, oh, look at you, you're so cool because you're transgender. It's like, why are we making that cool?
Well, I mean, it's
Now,
fair. It's a fair
like
point.
that's not. It's there's and to you both of you guys' point, like a lot of the facts about all this stuff is not being told, and it's the same thing that they did with the birth control pill that everybody's finding out now that it's linked to kind of issues conceiving later in life and Plan B and all the other stuff that they don't actually tell you. They just sell you on the bullshit. And no, no, it's great. Look at all the stuff you can do, but it's like, oh yeah, it's also linked to the fact that you have a couple abortions and good luck trying to have a kid later on in life. They don't tell you that part.
Yeah, I mean
That there's
that's
permanent
fair.
consequences to everything, and there's permanent consequences to the pill, and there's it fucks with your hormones later in life. It fucks with your ability to get pregnant later. It's like at some point, it's like obviously people need to, you know, you got to make your own decisions and you got to live by them. But at the same time, it's like pretend like this whole victim mentality to Johnny's point is they use it as a crux because we live in a one of the reasons is we live in a culture that's attention, 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 and playing the victim card and playing the look at me, I'm part of the group, I'm part of this mass delusion. Look at me now, and they play it with transgenderism.
Hmm.
It's like they played it with gays before transgender, and it just gets more and more and more and more extreme for to have all the eyes on you. That's what it comes down to. Look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. And unfortunately, women are very susceptible to that shit, and men who are having a hard time in life and stuff's not going right, they're also susceptible to that. But at some point, like one, the parents need to fill in for that, and then on top of that, we need to stop having the people that we entrust to lead our children just as delusional as the next one. I mean, at some point, someone has to, parents need to do a better job. Teachers need to teach. You're not. They don't take their position the manner in which it's supposed to be, which is you're supposed to teach every side of an argument, not just the side you believe in. And
I
that's
mean,
gonna be difficult to do. I mean,
that's another issue I have with schools, but that's leading a little
indoctrination
more.
camps.
Yeah, that's leading a little more into the educational side. I will love to do a podcast on that one day
Oh boy, yeah,
and
that one will be.
explain how Trump has pissed me off with trying to save schools, at least colleges, these indoctrination camps. But anyways, it's not about me. Let's
Say can't.
let's try to stay on topic. I don't know if you guys have noticed, I've been scrolling down little by little just in case people are reading it, they can see it. But you see, the first three dots here are kind of what make this whole transgender ideology really crazy to me because it says nearly one-third of transgender individuals report hazardous drinking, so 28%, and problematic drug use at 31%. Among transgender adults, 44% reported recent suicidal ideation, 7% reported a recent suicide attempt, and 21% reported recent non-suicidal self-injuries. And then you go to 82% of transgender people have assessed formal mental health care. And it's like, dude, these percentages are crazy. Now, I don't care how accepting you want to be, how tolerant you want to be. There's also questions that need to be asked. Is this a danger to the public? Is this a danger to kids? Is this a danger to women? Because they're also wanting their own toilet, or they also want to be able to go to the bathroom with women. So men that are saying they're transgender women want to go women's sports, want to go into women's bathroom, want to legit be treated like women. And this is another thing. It's like, okay, so if you are okay and you want to be tolerant, you're going to let women get trampled over and you're going to let women get raped. Excuse the language, but it's true. It's going to happen. They're going to get assaulted, and they're really going to wish that they never went for this because, honestly, if I were a betting person, which sometimes I am, I have a feeling that if it wasn't because women voting, this would not be getting as out of hand as it is. I mean, I'm going to look up the numbers, not tonight with you guys here. I'll put it on another podcast. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I have a feeling a lot of the empathetic people are women. That is
Yeah.
just my feeling. I have a feeling that a lot of the last presidents that were pushing transgenderism, pushing the gay agenda, pushing a lot of this mental health, this mental, I guess for lack of a better word, mental disease or illness. I have a feeling it was probably the woman's vote that got those presidents in there. I could be wrong. I think Craven
Yeah.
agrees with me. He's just being quiet because I'm saying what he wants to say. But women have really affected this country. I mean, what do you think? What do you think, guys? I mean, have an open dialogue. I mean, do you think women could have contributed to this in a small way? Do you think it's a major way? Do you think feminism is partly to blame? Because I do.
I actually couldn't agree with more with you, and to a more of a degree than you probably. Because I mean, if you look at the voting map just for this last election, obviously I'm I'm disappointed with Trump too, but with Harris and Trump, if you let only women vote, it was 72% going for Kamala Harris for the popular vote. And if even let's say, okay, well, we agree that that was a better choice. Okay, let's keep going down the list of things. Right now, women in mass vote for these open border immigration policies that are causing them to get raped and, you know, jumped and all this other stuff. Violent crime towards women is shot through the roof in all these parts where immigration has pretty much been an open border policy.
Mm-hmm.
And now you see all over I don't know if you guys have seen it, but the last couple of months I've been saying, oh, men need to step up and defend us, and it's like you guys caused this fucking problem.
Yeah.
Your vote matters. You wanted equality, now you get the accountability of equality. Yeah, it kind of sucks, but to your point, it's like you start looking at the more rights women got, the worse society got, and there's a pretty damn good correlation there. And I mean, we can go deeper into it, but like I said, it's not all women, but it's like you can make an evolutionary argument here where it's like we all grew up, and I'm sure they grew up too, where it's like men's job was to lead, protect, and provide. I can't lead someone who doesn't want to follow. On top of someone who doesn't want to follow, who always wants to argue, who always wants to be in the way, who always wants to, you know, be a problem. And then you vote because you make these. I mean, this is going back to Schopenhauer and the 1800s and Plato and Aristotle back in those times, far wiser men than us, sitting here and saying that they shouldn't lead because they base their decision on emotion. Yet we allow them to have that right here, and what they do, they base their decision on emotion.
Well,
I mean,
and unfortunately, it's there's certain things a woman should be involved in, and certain things a man should be involved in. I hate to say it, I never thought it'd be at this point in time, and at my age, when I was younger, I never thought I'd be kind of holding this flag, but I am now.
You're holding the LGBTQ flag?
No, I burned that
one. If it touches his skin, he starts to sizzle.
The thing that came to my mind, I'm terribly sorry to take the seriousness away, but ever since, 5 minutes ago, my mind drifted off because two things came to my mind. First of all, when I read that nearly 1/3 of the transgender individuals reported hazardous drinking. You know, you guys are familiar with the Marvel movies?
The what?
Marvel.
The Marvel movies, like Avengers.
Oh yeah.
You guys know Vision when he gets created, when he looks at himself and he's like, maybe I am a monster. And I read the 28% hazardous drinking, and I think to myself, maybe I am a transgender.
Alcoholism is not the only defining factor, brother. No, just
it's like the only point I shared in favor. I thought they were going to be at least good to have a drink with. Apparently not.
And then the other thing is hanging on to what Craven just said about women and making their decision and not taking accountability behind it. Is you guys know the meme of the guy riding his bike and putting the stick in the in the wheel, and then they fall over and they go like, screw old man, puts the stick in. Man, help me.
Exactly.
Well, here's the thing, and the reason why I bring it up is because women want responsibility, or they want authority, but they don't want responsibility. Their vote matters. And the thing is if you start getting super empathetic and you don't think logically all the time, then you're going to vote with your heart instead of looking at, does this make sense? These numbers that I just read to you, let's just say we were all independents, right? And we're looking at this and we're kind of open to it, right? Because it kind of sounds like Johnny is. He's kind of open to, hey, let transgenders be transgenders. It's not a big deal. And I'd even say Craven would be okay if it met certain criteria. I even think he'd be okay. But the issue is you start looking at these numbers, and these are scary numbers, at least if you were to apply it to America as a whole. And even if you show these numbers there are going to be people, and I can almost guarantee you, and I have a feeling it's going to probably be more women that are going to look at this, that are going to get emotional, and that are going to say, this is why we need to actually, be a lot more open. We need to start pushing it. We need them to feel included. But the thing is when you're battling with yourself mentally, it's not the world that can cure you. You have to find a way to cure yourself. And you need to find people that can help you. But it's the same thing as immigration. When did America become the entire world's savior? And how did we get responsible to take care of all the other people in the entire world? That's kind of how I view it. It's not our fight to take care of everybody. We need to make sure the American people are okay. And these numbers are incredibly scary, incredibly damaging to the American population. And if people continue to push this ideology, 42% of Americans will try to kill themselves based off numbers. What were you saying, Johnny?
I was just going to say America became the world's savior symbolically back in the 40s.
World War II?
Yes, sir.
Taking the wrong side.
I don't even view us as the world's savior at that point. I think unfortunate events just happened. We wound up getting involved. And then when we saw what was going on, we were kind of like, well, we got no choice but to see this through now. Or like, because this is pretty horrific.
Join the wrong side. I mean.
Raven.
Damn.
But anyways, so excuse me. Let's move on from the.
I was just citing what General Patton said after the war. I wasn't actually stating my opinion.
That one, okay. Well, if it's a historical figure, it's okay. But
I'm just reciting.
But let's move on, right? Because I wanted to show the stats of suicide rates, of suicidal thoughts. Now let's go to, because a lot of people keep saying we need to defend the LGBTQ community, and not in like we need to protect them from violence, because who really cares enough to go out of their way to attack people, right? I mean, that's not what we're about. But what I mean is like they want to make all these laws, even if it hurts the majority, for the minority. But here's the thing: any law you make that's going to affect the majority, that's going to protect the minority, it has to make sense for the majority as well, at least to an extent. So, what percentage does the LGBTQ community even like? What's the number as a whole in the nation? So let's look, because I pulled it up. It is approximately 9.3% of American adults identify as LGBTQ. So this isn't even in the double digits, and people are on the streets waving war for this flag. I mean, guys, this is nuts. This is kind of crazy. I mean, you got people that are willing to die to put laws on the books that will harm the majority, that will harm children, and they're okay with it, and they're okay with promoting degenerate behavior for 9.3% of the population. But I like to play the advocate. Look, I'm okay with these people living however they want to live behind the scenes. And in some places, if you want to do it out in public, that's fine. My issue is we have kids. I just showed you numbers on the transgender stats. I don't want my kids walking around and be like, hey, Dad. Well, when I have kids, not saying I got them. But I don't want them to look at me and say, hey, Dad, that looks like a man in a dress. And then be like, oh, well, it must be okay. And then grow up to be confused and have a 42% chance that they're going to kill themselves. I'm sorry. Like, I'm 100% against that. And I kind of would like to be a grandparent one day. I like the actual natural way of things where when a man and a woman get together, they can procreate. So when people say science, a lot of people left-leaning pick and choose what it is that they want. It's like, okay, are you for science? If you're for science, men and women are the only ones that can procreate. If you're not for science and you don't care about science, or let's just say you agree with that statement, but you're like, I still agree with these people being able to dress and do what they want. I actually have no issues with that. I just don't want it in front of kids.
I have a question.
Oh, what's up, LJ?
How do you feel about the people with two body parts?
Oh, you're talking about So I know who you're. I know what. I'm trying to think of the category. I keep forgetting. So the thing with the people, the two body parts, they still have only one reproductive system. It's just harder for
Can
you
you
to
guys hear
find that
me?
out. So you just have to go
Hello?
with whatever biological reproductive system that they have. However, just because they should doesn't mean they do. And I'm sure you can find some of them that you may not even know. That's the truth. Because my biggest issue is you got 6'3" muscular man over there putting on a dress and then pretending to be a girl and walking around in front of kids. That would be my biggest concern. Just because of stats. You weren't here for the stats, but that is my biggest concern. It's kids. Adults are adults. If you're not competent enough to be able to not suicide yourself or off yourself, like God bless you. I mean, I'd pray for you, but at the end of the day, you're an adult. You got to be able to make your own decisions. But kids, we're supposed to be protecting. Like that's the adults that are supposed to be protecting the kids. So I'm not for it because of that. And that's me just actually telling you my position. But Craven, you look like you had something to say.
Yeah, first of all, can you hear with this mic? I just had to switch out my headset.
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you.
Good, good. Um, well, kind of starting out where LJ was leaving off the whole hermaphrodite thing. I mean, if you look at statistically how many are actually able to reproduce, it's little to none. There's huge swaths. I think what's the sterility rate somewhere in the low 90s. So I mean, not to be a hole, but nature kind of takes care of that just due to the fact that even if, say, the female part is the one that's semi-working, it's usually not great for that individual to even get pregnant just due to the issues they would have. Believe it or not, just the hormones alone within the human body, estrogen and testosterone, play such huge effects in development that, you know, playing with that kind of stuff and pretending that these are so moldable, you know, things to
Yeah,
just kind of screw with it leads to bigger problems. I mean, and you see that. I mean, everybody tries to, oh, we're equal, men and women, there's no differences. It's just two genitalia parts. But when you guys are in the ground as an anthropologist, you can tell who's a man and who's a woman just by your bones.
yeah.
There's differences. There's stark differences. There's differences structurally, and there's differences musculoskeletal differences. This is not. I, I I never thought I'd be having this conversation about what is a man, what is a woman. When at my age, I thought this was kind of always,
Common sense.
yeah, it's kind of ridiculous how we're at this point in time. But at the same time, it's like at some point, if we're ever going to move on as a culture, it's like, and like I said, I mean, I don't think it should be pushed. I don't think it's very the similar opinion I have to abortion. I don't think it should be promoted. I don't think it should be, you know, thought of as a positive thing. Should I necessarily think it's illegal? No. I mean, like I said, I mean, just taking
I bet. I bet
alcoholism.
Johnny does.
And,
Okay, dude, I'm making a lot of bad jokes. I'm sorry.
even looking at the whole alcohol thing, it's like, do I think you should drink yourself to an early grave? No. At the same time, I don't think I should be having a
What are you
law say
talking
you
about?
can only have three drinks in a night. You know what I mean? Like if you want to, live it up this night or that night and knock down a handle, that's on you. Um, take the accountability for your actions, but I think that goes everywhere and every which way. I mean, obviously there's more with the transgender aspect because it's not necessarily just a one action kind of thing, and it's more, like you said, it's more permanent depending on how far you go with it. But At the same
Yeah.
time, someone has to address this issue. I mean, I mean, just look at the numbers, right? If we're going to say that it's 40% of them have at least attempted suicide
I think they said 42 committed or commit
or
suicide.
commit,
It's
even
56 that have
have
suicidal
tried,
thoughts or have attempted.
and so they're not even 100% successful in the suicide rate. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, it's
Can't even
probably the
commit to that.
women
I'm not.
who are trying to commit suicide. They don't commit suicide as often as men. We're better at that too.
Crazy work. Crazy work. Crazy work. Crazy work.
Even when we're at war with ourselves, we can kill the enemy better.
Well, I mean, if you're even if you're extremely pro transgenderism, those numbers alone should the kind of notate that, like, hey, if I don't hurry up and fix this problem, I'm not going to have anybody who's around me. I mean, if you're losing people at that quick of a rate, that's higher than
All around me a familiar place.
Well, but that's the whole reason why I showed the numbers. Because anybody watching this, I actually want them to see why people are opposed to this being openly taught to kids, being openly shown to kids.
Yeah.
I don't even mind if they even have, certain places in like California or others because they're already kind of like that. So if you just put up this is like a queer district or, for something kind of like how in other countries they have like red districts and you know what they are. I probably wouldn't even care about that. I'd be like, hey, this is where LGBTQ communities can come out and in the open, dress how they want to dress. And the reason why I say that is not because I want to discriminate against them. Once again, I want to protect the kids. Why are people so upset, when they think Trump is a pedophile? Why would they get so upset? It's because they're essentially saying he had sex with underage kids. So if everybody agrees that we should be protecting kids, then this shouldn't be an issue. Like, this should be a easy compromise. I don't agree with the lifestyle, period. But if we need to make a compromise, I'm fine with that. Like, you can do whatever you want behind closed doors. We're adults.
Yeah, I
But
just don't like the
that's where I
fact
draw the
how
line.
I just don't like the fact how Hollywood is pushing it. Like everything you see on the TV nowadays or whatever is being pushed like it's a agenda going out. Like them doing their own thing or whatever, moving around. I don't care. But the fact that it's being pushed and like to little kids, even in cartoons, it's in cartoons. Like what are we doing here now?
Well, yeah, but that's how it starts. And it
the next level.
sucks. It really sucks that it does that. Because here's the thing. Even in shows, like we just showed the percentage of population that's even LGBTQ. It's 9.3. So you mean to tell me in every show that takes place in every state and in every little city or town, there happens to be a transgender? There happens to be gay people somehow popping up all over the place? They make up 9.3%. How is it that in every show they happen to be everywhere, even if in real life they're not there? They're just not. They're non-existent. You'd be lucky to run into one. Now, I'm not saying gay or lesbian, even though they are part of that statistic I showed or that percentage, but transgenders you don't ever really see. I don't think I've ever seen one in person where I live, and yet they'll do a show here in Florida, and they'll show like 10 million of them. And I've been to Orlando, been to Miami, never ran into one. So if there is one, it's incredibly rare. So I agree with LJ. They push it a lot. That's actually some of the reasons why I stopped watching some of these shows because it gets to be kind of crazy. And here's the thing: people are willing to die to defend them or fight the government. And that's actually bringing me why I pulled up this next page because I don't know if you guys are familiar. In New York, the LGBTQ plus pride flag was re-raised at the Stonewall National Monument after it was removed by the Trump administration. So the Trump administration only wants American flags, and to my understanding, they did a directive or a rule where they implemented that, so they pulled the pride flag down, and then the New Yorkers actually stepped up and were like, no, we're not only going to put the pride flag back up and defy the government, even though it's it's federal property. It's even telling you it's a national monument, so it's state property. So they put it back up against the government, and then not only that, but there are pictures of it actually higher than the American flag. I'll be honest with you. I am very tolerant. The one thing that can get me very stirred is when people disrespect the flag. And the reason why is because you have soldiers that are sacrificing themselves to keep us all safe, that are dying to represent the country. You have people that love this country and are willing to put their lives on the line. That country should represent, or that flag should represent every American. So why do we have an LGBTQ flag that is raised higher than the American flag? That actually, I won't lie, that got me a little pissed. I don't know how you guys feel.
I don't think that the LGBTQ flag should be raised at a federal spot to begin with. That's not a state regulated flag. I don't see. That's like it doesn't. The whole purpose of those flags, whatever Florida state flag, then the United States flag, represents that locality, right?
Mm-hmm.
The LGBTQ flag, that's like me putting up, like, I don't know, let's say the New England Patriots flag on the White House. It's it doesn't, that's not what a federal building is supposed to represent. It's the principality in which, I mean, obviously there's certainly gay people in whatever town, depending on where you're at, but that's not, I don't understand how that group of people gets flags, but I mean, the Hispanic people don't get one, blacks don't get one, whites don't get one. I mean, if you're allowed to put the LGBTQ one up, why can't I put the Nazi flag up?
Yeah. I mean, what about the...
I'm not saying I would.
I get what you're saying, though.
Yeah.
What about the
Whoa, you wouldn't?
I mean, you're right. It's that Yuko boss.
But what about the Union flag? I mean, that raises very good points. I mean, everybody... The reason why country flags mean anything is because you're showing your patriotism for that flag. You're showing your patriotism for that country. So the country is supposed to come above everything else if you really care about where your lineage is going to live. And when I say lineage, just in case some people don't understand, I just mean your offspring, your kids. What's the next generation going to do? They're going to be probably raised in the same country you are in, unless you're fleeing to try to come here. And here's the thing. People keep talking about America like we have an American dream to offer. It's because of people that are fighting to destroy what America represents and to destroy that American dream. It's these people here, not the LGBTQ community by itself. It's these people who are willing to go to war with the government, who are like, let's change the entire system, let's break it down. You have people dying trying to come here to live the American dream, and you're trying to tear down the system that allows that to happen. Little by little, we're going down, and if something doesn't change, this is not helping. It's not going to help. In the last podcast that I did on my own, I went over the inflation rate in 70 years. Guys, a home used to cost less than $8,000 in the 1950s. It's now, the average home today, I believe it stated, was $500,000. That's 70 years, and it went up that much. What dream are we offering any of these illegal immigrants? And I would even say if you've been here 10 to 15 years, you had more than enough time to try to get your papers or do something to try to get legal status. Clearly, you're not interested in assimilating. You're probably not doing anything because you're sending your money over to your family. And if that's the case, I don't need our money going overseas. People complain we're not taking care of our veterans here. We're not keeping enough of our money here. So why on earth would I be okay, especially with people who have been here 10 to 15 years, and they're not even trying? But anyways, that's immigration. That's a whole other subject. Unless you guys want to touch on it, it's up to you. Is that yes? No? Maybe so? Okay.
Sorry, are you guys talking to me? Because I literally just got back. I had to
Oh,
run for
Is,
little boys.
is that a
I,
yes? Maybe
I
so.
missed I missed probably the last 5 minutes.
how dare you? It's cool. It's cool. But no, Craven, if you're saying something, man, I can't hear you. But I was just talking about the immigration and how if people have been here 10 to 15 years and they haven't even tried to assimilate, then in all honesty, you're not trying to come here to live a better life. You're trying to send your money overseas back home to your family. And if that's the case, we don't need more of our money leaving America. You should be deported. I would have no regrets on that at all. But the reason why I was bringing that up is because people keep talking about how there's an American dream in place, and the reason why immigrants are coming here is because they want to live the American dream. However, all of the Democrats, all of these LGBTQ people who are trying to tear down America and all the policies and everything that makes America America, they're tearing down the very fabric of what allows there to be an American dream. Things at one point used to be merit-based. Now they're pushing so much diversity, they're not even looking for who's the best anymore. They're doing affirmative action in a lot of places. So, for instance, you can have a pilot. You could have one guy over here that's white that does really good. It's an amazing pilot. And then you got the guy to the right, because he's Hispanic, he's not close to being as good. Not because he's Hispanic, but they're hiring him because he's Hispanic. It's like, guys, if you do everything merit-based, you don't need to wonder if these people are good for the job. You don't need to wonder about that. But once again, they're tearing down the very fabric. And that's the whole reason why I don't really think there's going to be an American dream in 20 or 30 years. Because I was saying how the homes back in the 1950s were less than $8,000 to purchase. It's only been 70 years. And the average home is $500,000. $500,000. I mean, think about that. And
On top of that, we're not talking about some mansion. No, we're talking about some minute, small place that you, if you're lucky, can fit your family.
Just a basic standard home. And I believe what they consider to be a starting home is a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom. That's what they call starting. So that's not even huge. And if you're lucky, you might have some property with it. Because that's not saying anything about condos, townhomes, etc. So, but anyways, I just wanted to share my thoughts on that, because this whole flag thing, where our government, as of this last year, has been in opposition in these cities. And I'll be honest with you, this is becoming a problem. It's becoming a problem. We're having people that are fighting the government for doing things that are perfectly legal and they have no business in. ICE was going after illegal immigrants. We have no business interfering with them. They're going after illegals. We should not have even been there. They were going after criminals. They've stated tons. Now, people are saying there's tons of people in detention centers. Well, of course, we don't know why they're there. And even if they're in there and they haven't committed a secondary crime from being here, if you're illegal, you are a felon. You committed a felony the minute you cross the border without permission. That's a felony. So technically, they are criminals. They just haven't done anything that we're aware of to add to that. So the American people are fighting the government there, and now they're fighting the government here, which I didn't even think would be an issue, to just pull down all the other flags except for the American flag, because the American flag stands for our country. But these people don't care for our country, and they're showing it every day. And look, guys, this is scary. It's scary because these are cities. Cities are crammed with millions of people. So realistically, we don't know how many people are in these cities that are really willing to pick up firearms and go fight. They've been doing a hell of a time because they're getting, and this is bringing us to one of our topics, but it's getting Trump to actually leave. And I'm pulling this up. I don't know if you guys still have the share screen, but I'm pulling this up. I'm not showing the video, but I'm just pulling this up so people can see that Trump is ending the ICE surge in Minnesota. You can see it. I've seen the videos. These are the titles. You can tell Holman does not seem happy when he's giving this speech. So I'm a little agitated because what did these people essentially do? All these people did was this. They did enough of this. This is what the leftists did.
Step solution for the inaugural honor to be able to introduce for the first time ever in.
They did a lot of that, and then that got Trump to do this. Look at him. Look at him. It's okay, baby. It's okay. We're going to back out, okay? This is what Trump did, because he's backing out. Now, the reason why I did that is because that brings me to a topic that I actually wanted to talk to you and have an open discussion about. Do you guys think he's pulling out because there's a bigger plan, or do you think he's just caving to these lunatics that are trying to protect murderers, rapists, and criminals? Do you think there's another plan? What was that?
I say caving. I say caving.
Well,
Would agree.
Well, because the reason why I think it's caving could be different from what you guys think. So,
I think
elaborate.
caving because he's so guarded with how he's looked at in the public. Anytime someone says something, he fucking blows a gasket and stuff like that. I mean, he's not. When you think of someone who's stoic, you don't think Donald Trump. Even if you like him, he's not. He doesn't make his decisions. He's from the cuffs. Some people like that about him. Some people have an issue with that about him. And it's fine when you're getting attacked, you want to defend yourself and all, but for a fact part of this is because of all the backlash he's been getting. And he caves to it. And this is not the first time he's done it. He said he was going to build the wall. Is that done? No, right? So he is, I wouldn't say a slave to public opinion, but he's proven in the past that when public opinion starts to really get at him, he'll just stop doing whatever he was doing. And it was one of my biggest complaints about him in the first term, personally. He doesn't follow through with a lot of the stuff he says he's going to do.
Yeah, it's pretty annoying. What about you, Johnny?
I mean, not gonna lie, Craven mostly already covered most of it. He definitely brought up the disappointing point about him that he is, I mean, it might be a harsh wording, but honestly, yeah, a slave to public opinion.
Okay.
And the best example for that is, like you said, the wall. So unfortunately, I don't really have anything else to add to that.
I mean, so I think it's probably one of a couple things. But either way, I'm not thrilled because whenever the left feels as though they got to win, they start pushing more. And they start being like, woohoo, you see, we can fight off the government. And is it Tim Walz? He's already saying, well, you guys did damages, so, with how the Minnesotan people have suffered, you need to pay reparations. We deserve money. So now because they feel Trump, they feel like they've won and they feel like he's retreating because of weakness. Now they're going on a full attack. They're going on full scale offense. I think the reason why he's backing off could be a couple of things. I think one, it could be what you guys were saying. It could just be like he's trying really hard not to look like an authoritarian. And he's like, look, I don't want to be what they're saying I am. Even though he would be perfectly justified and within the legal limits of the law to do the Insurgency Act and actually send military action in there. Now, that doesn't mean that they're going to open fire and kill people. There's always a possibility of people dying whenever you get military or violent force involved. However, that just means they're going in there to start enforcing law and order and to make sure that state understands this is an American state. We have laws, we have rules, we have regulations, and we have policies, and you will abide by it. Because that's been my biggest issue with the left. They do whatever they want, and they're always getting bailed out. That's why I was happy when they were going after Don Lemon, because he violated the FACE Act. And here's the thing: the judge didn't want them. The first judge they went to didn't allow them to do anything. The second judge was like, well, bring the charge in front of a hearing and go that route. So he did. He redid it. They got the approval and they took him. And the reason why I was happy about that, it's not because you leftists need to be locked up. It's because you have to enforce your laws. You can't have a civilized society while saying the right can't do it and the right has to be upheld to standards, and then the left can go ahead, break every standard known to man, burn buildings, burn down police precincts, fighting the ICE agents, even getting 2 people killed, while the majority of these people will go ahead and walk free, and they're not getting anything done to them. I think now they said they have, they were starting to arrest people, so they have, I think, 100 people finally that they're actually pressing federal charges against. But we'll see where that goes, because just saying you're pressing federal charges doesn't mean they're going to do any time for breaking the law. So, but anyways, what I'm saying is I think he's either doing it because of the authoritarian, or 2, he's got midterms coming up. And the Epstein thing doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. It's at a bad time for him. I haven't gone through it, but I've heard a little bit. And don't get me wrong, if he's done crimes, he needs to pay for them. I'm not against that. He needs to pay for them. What I will say is I think Trump is like, okay, if I continue being this forceful, and I continue to look like an authoritarian, plus some of the things that are coming out in the Epstein files that I've heard, I don't even know if they're true, but some of the things that have come out don't sound too great with Trump. So he's already got negative on top of negative. I think if he would have felt comfortable with where he was with public opinion, and I think he was sure that he was going to get those midterms, I think he might be different. I think he might have pushed further. I think he might have been a little more forceful, which is what I think he should have been. But those are the 2 reasons why I think he backed up. Tim Pool thinks he backed up because of what you guys stated. Essentially, he's just all about his public opinion. He's not an Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln did a lot of shady crap when it came to that. I don't know if you've read up on him. I've heard a little bit. He completely put aside the law. He was locking up politicians at the time, even though he really couldn't be doing it because they didn't do nothing wrong. But anyways, he's no Lincoln. He's not out here, and he's not going to do that. So, but anyways, LJ, you were saying something?
Yeah, I was saying, if we talking about the law and like upholding it, shouldn't it be pertaining to everybody? Because you can't have some people breaking the law, but like it can't be a double standards of who can follow it, should it, and who should follow the law and who shouldn't. I think if there's gonna be a law, everybody gotta follow it.
Oh, exactly. That's why I said if Trump broke any laws, he needs to face it. He needs to. Here's the thing with law and order. If you don't uphold the law, you can't uphold order. You can't have a civilized society if you're not upholding law and order. It's impossible. It is impossible. And this is why the left in these cities feel so emboldened to go out and fight ICE officers, fight the police. You know, they don't mind doing acts of violence. They're perfectly okay with it. But the reason is because we have not gone in there, at least the government hasn't gone in there, and actually shown the force that they should be showing. None of these people should be walking away outside of handcuffs if they're getting forceful with the police. That guy that was shot, Preddy, he did the same crap, I think they said 11 days earlier, where he kicked the back of the vehicle on a government agent's vehicle. He broke the taillight. They got into a scuffle. And at that point, if they would have arrested him and pressed charges on him, he may have been alive today. But I would say because the ICE agents they're actually just trying to go in, do their objective and get out. They're not really trying to lock people up. They're like, okay, whatever. We got into a little scuffle. Get out of here. You know, and he had the gun on him that day because that video, they actually zoomed in and showed the firearm. So that wasn't the first time that he fought with them. But I mean, do you guys agree with my assessment, or do you really think it's just public opinion?
Well, I think you bring up great points. I mean, to be honest, it wasn't even on my mind. I mean, I'm not very up to date with when it comes to politics, so I'm absolutely to blame for that. So I didn't even consider midterms. So that's definitely a possibility, though I still think that mainly Craven's. I was going to say Craven in my point, but to be honest, it was mainly his point, and I just agreed with it.
He just went first, okay? I'm okay with you taking credit. His New England Patriots sucked in the Super Bowl. He can take the back seat on this one, all right? Notice how he's not saying anything. I don't even know if he's there right now, because normally he'd be laughing or giving me grief about that. But
I'm gonna give you shit. I just got back, but hold on, I gotta leave again.
Oh my god! So he'll give me crap when he gets back, but
no, but again, I think the midterms that is a great point you brought up.
Well, that's why I was thinking it, because in all honesty, he can't rerun for president, so he doesn't have to worry about playing nice for a second term. I think he's really just trying to save face for the midterms, because if all of the Republicans lose their seats, or if the majority of them lose their seats, his grasp on the justice system drops significantly. And the Epstein files, like I said, if he did crimes, he needs to do the time. However, I'm just saying it from his perspective. I'm just trying to see it from his perspective. The Epstein files being dropped was a bad time. And I have a feeling that's probably why he didn't want to drop it, because he was thinking of the midterms. And he's like, well, if I can just postpone it another year, then I could get past the midterms, and then I'll just drop everything, because at that point it don't matter. I can do what I want. I don't have to worry, because I'm not going to be elected. These last 2 years, I'm going to go ham. That's what I think he was going to do. But he is big on public opinion as well. And you can tell, because he dropped these files that are potentially damaging to him well before the midterms even came. All because he was like, look, you guys want this? Sign it or vote on it. Vote on it. Put the paperwork on my desk. I'll sign it. I'll sign it into law. We'll just go ahead and release everything. But it's funny how they redacted a lot the minute they released it.
I was just gonna bring that up. Yeah, you mean all those black pages?
Yeah, I'm like, supposedly, to my understanding, they released it with no redactions or very little, and then later on, like, when I say later, I mean pretty quick, they redacted a lot. So it kind of sucks, because it's like now you have all these documents that were out there, probably had a lot more information available to us, and then in the blink of an eye, they took everything back, redacted it, and then threw it out. At least that's my understanding of what they did.
I mean, from what I know is that currently not even the tip of the iceberg is out there, though, because there's 80% still completely unseen to everybody, if I'm not mistaken. This is just a number that I heard, but I know it's something pretty large.
Well, what's the lady they just had at the hearing? I don't think it was Bondi. Christy Noem, I think. I forget her full name. But when they were doing the hearing, she told them, she was like, we released 3 million pages of Epstein files. So, I mean, dude, how many people have that kind of time to comb through all that? And I eventually want to start getting into the Epstein files and covering it myself. I actually want to read it, though, through the DOJ. I want to cover as much as I can. But the thing is, in all honesty, you have bigger podcasts that have a lot more resources and a lot more people that they can throw at it. There's only so much smaller podcasts like us can really go through when it comes to 3 million documents, plus whatever else was already out. Because I think they stated it was like 50,000 documents were already released from Epstein prior to them releasing those 3 million documents. So, like, dude, that's crazy. Who here has that kind of time? I don't. I don't have all the time in the world.
It's almost like you can compare the Epstein files to watching One Piece.
Any anime fan should know. That is a never-ending battle, man. That thing takes like 20 years, and it's still going. And I can't even get through the first couple of seasons, man. The anime quality was just so rough. But
I think the last thing you will say, though. No, I was going to say the last thing you will say, though, is probably not, wow, the world building in the Epstein files is crazy. Okay, anyway, sorry.
But
that was bad. That was bad.
No, it's never bad. Anime is fantastic. Don't ever say that. But I wavered a little bit on topics because I wanted to get your thoughts on Trump, where you think his mind's at. I also wanted to know if you were in Trump's shoes, what would you do? I could tell you what I would do, at least on how my understanding of how it works to be the president. Because the thing that Trump started that I didn't like is his first term in, he started doing executive orders. And my issue with executive orders is because it completely undermines the entire process of what things need to go through to get passed. And I knew the minute he started doing that and just signing executive order after executive order after executive order, I knew that this was going to start being a problem. And after he did it, Biden came in, started doing executive order after executive order. And then he came back into office, he's doing the same thing. So I'm not a fan of him doing that, but if I was in his shoes and the law, if it would allow me to, he ran on immigration. I think he was doing good. I would have been a lot more forceful on that. I would have actually gone. I would start arresting these politicians who took oaths to the Constitution, but yet they're stating we're going to protect illegal immigrants. We're going to have sanctuary cities. I would have arrested them because technically they're not going with the Constitution. There are federal laws on the books and federal trumps state. So it doesn't matter what these politicians think. They can only implement state law. If there's federal law that is stating that illegal immigrants are to be removed, these politicians took an oath to the Constitution. That means they took an oath to follow federal law. I won't lie to you. If I was president, Navy SEALs, any of the military that can go in there overnight, take these people, I would get on the, I'll do a press conference the next day and be like, look, we're tired of this standing. These people have been doing what they want to do. We've been very tolerant. We've been very patient. They're just doing, they're now at this point building their own coalition. We're seeing insurgencies in some of these major cities. And I would start arresting all these people that are not on the side, that are not protesting peacefully. I wouldn't even be playing that game. I would have arrested them all. And I would have been making sure they would have been going to a court and they would have been having fair trials. Because here's the thing. If I was Trump and I won the presidency, I ran on immigration. I ran on making the country better. There's just so much. I haven't even touched foreign affairs, right? But I don't know if you've ever played Rome. In Rome is I purge. No, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that if I was in Trump. But I had to bring that game reference up because if he was actually listening, he'd be getting a kick. But no,
I'm getting a kick.
But no,
I'm here.
I was gonna say, I'm like, but tell me, do you guys agree with arresting these politicians who are clearly going against the Constitution? Like, why have they not been arrested? You guys have any thoughts?
Well, despite the fact that I partially agree, the reason partially is because I think it might be a little extreme because you're talking, if you just go ahead right now as president and start, taking into prison politicians and such, I want to argue that puts you immediately on the level of National Socialism back in World War II Germany, or prior to World War II.
That's only if I'm doing that because I want to. I'm doing that because technically they're committing treason. They took an oath to the Constitution, and they're not upholding their oath. So technically they are breaking the law. And I do believe it is within legal authority for them to be arrested.
Very true, but maybe this is just my misunderstanding. I think they should be put in front of a trial. Like, you put them out of the, how do you call it, take them out of the traffic, if that makes sense. Like, take them out of the position of power and put them into a trial.
Well, what about, like, a military hearing? because technically they would be getting tried for treason.
No, again, that's fair. That's fair. But I just think it is extreme to immediately arrest, if that makes sense. Like, you would have to go a more legal, a more, for lack of better words, a more humane way about it. Because
John,
I feel, no, hear me out.
Humane?
Okay,
Come
I'm
on,
terribly
you should
sorry.
be all
My English
this.
is failing me. My English is failing me.
No, I'm kidding. I'm busting your time.
Okay.
Continue, please continue.
But because I feel like if you go to that extreme immediately, you provoke civil war. Because you might hit people with you might hit people that are not even really involved in the topic by you taking the power now to go after politicians.
Well,
if
to
that
be
makes
honest,
sense.
and knows how I play Rome, which granted, what I'm telling you, I'm actually not taking as a joke. This is what I would do. But the reason why I say this, because you're like, you would be insulting, you'd be initiating a civil war. To be honest, that's actually what I would want to do. Because we're at such a divisive point, and I hate to say this, I am not trying to be a jerk, but the two sides are not going to be able to coexist. They're not. Where the right is conservative, they want to conserve what we have, they want to just live in peace, be left alone. You do you, I do me, just don't shove your crap in my face, and I'm fine with it. The left isn't like that. The left is like, hey, I don't care if you want to be left alone. If you're not going to agree with us about us allowing people to do whatever they want in public and show all sorts of body parts and do whatever it is that's degenerate, we should be able to do drugs on the streets. We should be able to walk naked on the streets. We should be able to have men cross-dressing, women cross-dressing, all of this stuff. And if you don't agree with us, you need to either move or you deserve to be locked up or killed. A lot of these left-wing crazy people, that's how they are. You have two sides that I don't think can coexist.
Only a Sith deals in absolutes.
Sith are ingenious, okay? No, I'm just kidding. But it's not really absolutes because I would be enforcing the law. What would be happening is I would also be, at that point when I'm enforcing the law, it would be instigating all of the traitors to America to act. Because if you think about it, if I'm enforcing the law, I've done nothing wrong. So if they're going to be fighting me at that point, and I'm in control of the government, I'm the president, then technically what I'm telling you is true. What I'm telling you is true because they're going up against what I'm legally able to do to traitors. I'm able to take them and give them a military trial. And to my understanding, that's perfectly legal. So if they do an uprising, at that point, they have proven that they are traitors to America. And yes, they need to be treated as enemies of war. Now, this doesn't mean all leftists can't, live with rights and independence. This isn't saying all leftists are hardcore and that they want war and that they're willing to go out there and fight. But the people that are on the street that are fighting, they are hardcore leftists. Those are not right-wingers fighting the cops. Those are not right-wingers committing insurgencies. These are not right-wingers taking license plate numbers down and creating systems to track ICE officers or to fight the government to put the LGBTQ flag up. These aren't right-wingers. So we have to keep this in mind. But I don't deal in absolutes as far as it's all leftists, but that's what I would do. What would you guys do?
If you don't mind, I don't have much to say. I would just quickly get my point across.
Okay. What about you, Craven? Anything?
Yeah, I mean, and I kind of agree with you in the fact that I don't think this is ever going to kind of solve, but I also think that there's another party kind of dictating a lot of this and lighting a fire under both parties to fight each other when the real enemy is not each other. And I think a lot of people are too dumb to see beyond that, and not even too dumb, but they don't put enough time into actually looking at shit.
No, it's
true. Look at it, there's hands on both sides of these parties.
Oh yeah.
and they make us hate each other when in reality it's like we're not the actual enemy. But that's their goal. They can do whatever they want when we're divided.
Well, I actually think that's why the right wing right now is divided, because I think half of them are waking up to the realization that there is a foreign country that has their hands behind this, and right now it's got them split. I mean, the MAGA movement was really strong. It was really big until they realized somebody seems to be manipulating certain things and foreign policies overseas. And the Republican side was like, I don't like this. They're like, I don't
My
agree
nose
with
is getting
this.
quite itchy right
Eh,
now.
but, but it's like, I think that's honestly why the Republican Party split. Because the thing is you have people that follow Trump, and then you have people that are conservatives. People that are conservatives are like, look, I like what Trump is doing, but I'm also realizing that his loyalties may not lie to America like he likes to play it as, and they're not happy with it. And so the MAGA movement is kind of like, okay, well, I want to make America a powerhouse again. I want to make it to where we continue to run the world to a degree where we can do what we want to do, and we don't have to worry about nuclear weapons being fired at us or having to do a draft and send young men to their deaths. I would like that. But let's face it, the Republican side is split. And it's because of what Trump's been doing. And Craven's not wrong. He's not wrong. I've been realizing it myself. I'm like, look, if I can't trust Trump with foreign policies and with foreign wars, at least when it comes to a certain country, then I already have an issue with him. And it's going to affect us sooner or later, because things have quieted down now, but they're already talking that there's possibility going to be a war between Israel and Iran. And Myron actually seems to think that this next war is going to be the one that says whether Israel can stay standing, or if Iran's going to be the one that stays standing. Because Iran just bought a ton of military-grade weapons from China that are specifically designed to fight Israel and to fight America. I can get you articles on that if you want, but they bought a ton of weaponry because they are expecting a war with Israel and America. Now, do I think do I think Trump is going to be stupid enough to send troops on the ground, or at least
Yes.
a lot of troops? I don't think he will, because I do think part of his public opinion would hold him back. Do I think he will send some? Yeah. But I think mainly what he's going to do is he's just going to try to flood Israel with a bunch of weapons and let them try to do the fighting. That would be the smart move if he wanted to really try to save face. That's what I have a feeling he'll do. But I think that's one of the reasons why he took Venezuela. Because if Iran shuts down the streets, I think it's called the Streets of Hormuz, or however it's pronounced, we're not going to feel it as much. And I think that's one of the reasons why he did it. Trump's not stupid. I'm not saying he's the most bright man in the world, but he's not stupid, to say the least. I mean, is there anything you guys want to add?
I mean, I can go if no one else wants to.
All right. I mean, if you want to go ahead, brother.
Well, I think, given the attitude towards war right now, I don't even know if Trump calls for war with Iran in in backing of Israel. I don't think he's going to get as a lot of people. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think the public perception of Israel right now is so it's more it's worse than I've ever seen it in my lifetime. So I don't think you're going to get people. I mean, you're going to have a lot of people just drop out or AWOL, um, which is a whole nother fucking problem. But at the same time, yeah, I mean, at this point in time, with Iran and Israel, I would kind of agree. I mean, Israel's looking to, if they take out Iran, I mean, they've kind of taken out any power that can compete with them at that in the Middle East. But that's what they're going to try to do. Whether or not we can get them to stop, I don't think Trump's a complete idiot. I don't think he's, Mr. 40 chest either, though. I mean, everybody has this idea of him that he's this brilliant mastermind, and I'm like, he's not. I don't think he's an
Yeah,
idiot,
no,
but he's definitely not a mastermind by any means.
no.
Um,
I think he's just smart when it comes to who he appoints, and I think he's smart at looking at the options and saying, okay, I'll go this way. But do I think he's like a 4D chess master where he's like 4 or 5 steps ahead and he's the one all planning this out? I don't think so at all. I just think he's good at pointing and leaning on the people who are good.
yeah, he's a certain knack for certain people that he employs. I'm not opposed to that opinion. Um, I, I'm not uberly hopeful. No, that's probably not what everybody wants to hear, but at the same time, I don't see anything in my eyes that would allow me to pretend that this is going in the right direction for us.
Hmm.
In fact, I've been kind of, we're all doom scrolling, but it's kind of like you start really sitting back and realizing like what happens if we go to war with Iran, that's going to worsen our economy
Oh, it
because
is.
we're not going to bet.
It is. I
Huh?
actually think it would strengthen the BRICS nations, if that were to happen. I don't think it's a smart move. I think Trump should stay out of it. But if I were a betting man with the hold that Israel seems to have over him, I honestly think that if a war does happen, he's going to play his part. That's just, I don't know if you agree, but I agree. I really believe that's what he's going to do. I think he's going to play his part because I think when it comes to Israel, they either have something on him or he's bought and paid for. He had money, but a lot of rich people, for whatever reason, they always want more. They always want more. It just some of these rich people, it's never enough. You have billionaires that want more. I
Yeah,
don't
but
get it.
he took all the loans from a certain group of friends right after the assassination or the assassination attempt. I think it was a warning. I think they missed, and then they told him, "See, we can get to you if we want to get to you. We won't miss the next time. Take the money." I think that's honestly what happened. It makes the most sense, you know.
Okay, so you're thinking they essentially were like, hey, either you or the next person's gonna do what I want. You either
Well,
take
that's
the
who
deal, or
JD.
the next person will.
Yeah, and that's JD Vance. JD Vance is a complete plant. You don't think
Yeah,
he's running
I've
up
heard
next?
people talk about that. I haven't looked too much into him. But people have been saying that they're like, if you follow his career, and who put him there, essentially he's a plant, is what they're saying. Now, because I haven't looked into it, I will not say that I am saying that. But Craven, if you've looked into it and you feel comfortable,
Because
I'll
all you
lift
got to do
that
is
too.
look at his connections with Peter Thiel and all them. I mean, it's sure. I mean, Nick Fuentes has done plenty of stuff on this ad nauseum almost. It's not hard to. All the ties are there. It's just a
Yeah,
matter of like, do you want to actually believe it, or do you want to just keep ignoring it and pretending everything's all hunky dory with them?
yeah, and I mean that's fair. That's very fair. So, but I wanted to cover a little bit on Trump. I wanted to cover a little bit on that flag, but I don't know if you guys still are looking at the shared screen. Um, so I had a couple of these things still here. I went a little out of order because I wanted people to see these things before we got into some of the topics. So mental health. I just want to state what that is real quick so people understand. Mental health refers to our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects how we think, feel, and act, and plays a crucial role in how we handle stress, relate to others, and make choices. And that's the gist of it. I mean, you can, whoever watches this can read this further. So the reason why I had this up here was because of the transgender topic that we were on. Obviously, with the percentage of suicidal rates and suicidal thoughts, I pulled this up so people can understand why people say that it is a mental illness. So you can see that this fits exactly under there. And before transgenderism was a thing, they had gender dysphoria. And I just wanted to give people the definition. Gender dysphoria is the psychological distress experienced when a person's gender identity does not align with their sex assigned at birth, often leading to significant discomfort and desire for transition. So, I mean, anybody who's been watching what we were doing with the podcast earlier, they can see this. This ties into transgenderism, ties into all of the stats and statistics, and this also is a mental disorder. So I just wanted people to understand, because I'm not trying to be a jerk, but like I said, those stats were terrifying. And there's a reason for it, people. There's a reason. It's because gender dysphoria fits better than let's just let these people live the way that they're living and get their way of life out there so that kids can pick up on this. I mean, like I said, 42% death rate. You guys saw the stats for drinking, drug use, going to see mental health professionals. Like, guys, at this point, this is why I brought it up. I wanted people to actually have the definition. And then I did have this, where it was, what is the difference between men and women? Because I see Andrew Wilson a lot, and I don't know if you guys watch him a lot or not, but Andrew Wilson makes a great point. He gets agitated because he finds the thought of transgenderism insulting. And the reason being is because feminism has been fighting for equal rights for women, and now feminists are like, transgender women are women, and he gets agitated because he's like, it is impossible, because a man does not have ovaries, a man does not have a uterus, a man does not have those high estrogen levels, a man doesn't have the same muscle mass, doesn't have the same bone structure, doesn't get periods. He's like, it is impossible for a man to know what it feels like to be a female, and he even states it's insulting to women. And he even uses an example saying that's like if a white person were to put on blackface and then say they're black. He's like, it's insulting. You're not black because you paint your face black. That's insulting to black people. It's insulting to the men who dress up and say that they're women. So, but anyways, is there anything you guys wanted to add on men and women and why they're different biologically? Did I miss something on there? Because it even states here voice pitch, brain size, and obviously breasts. We knew that. But is there anything I'm missing?
Well, no, I'm very happy you brought up the final point right there, biology. Mm-hmm. It's literally the study of life. I mean, obviously biology can also go into plant life and such, but if you look at sex ed and stuff like that, it's an entire science designated to this, and to just simply say, oh, cool, I'm going to be a woman now, that's not going to erase the entire science behind it.
You know, I'm going to add that song, Man, I Feel Like a Woman. Dun, 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 I can't help it. Shania Twain. Oh, cracks me up. Anyway, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to stop you.
No. Yeah, I honestly, that summed it up. That was honestly my only point here, the biology aspect.
I was hoping to actually go over all of this a little differently, but it actually, I thought, tied in better the way that it did. These I just pulled up because I like people to actually see definitions, see exactly what's going on, what is actually out there. What are these things? Because transgenderism wasn't a thing many years ago. It was gender dysphoria. Gender dysphoria was a mental health. It was a mental health issue. So, but if you look at transgenderism, you look at gender dysphoria, they're the same definitions. They're just different words. So it looks like they just took the mental health issue and said, you know what? Let's make it this word, and let's try to make this word accepted into society. Because if we can do that, then we can start pushing people to kill themselves. Honestly, I really think the LGBTQ initiative, because it's what it seems like. It seems like it's an initiative that's been started by a bigger group of people to try to do population control. Gay people cannot reproduce. Lesbians cannot reproduce. Transgenders, maybe. but they're mentally ill, and the chances they're going to actually stay alive to reproduce, it's 42%, probably less because suicidal attempts and thoughts, plus mental health issues. So the chances that they're really going to reproduce are low. So I honestly think this is just an attempt to control birth rates, even though America is in trouble. America is not repopulating the way that it used to, and that's abortion. We can go over that another time. But I didn't know if you guys had anything else, because I was going to be going over Craven. I also had in here Judaism and has a complex, evolving relationship with transgender issues. Would you like to go over that now? Did you want to do that next podcast? I figured we could tie it now for the last subject.
Kinda. I'd probably like to have a little more time though, because
Okay.
I mean, I could give you a base over. I'll give a base overview. Um, so if you're not really familiar, there's a couple sects of Judaism. There's 8 genders, and one of them. So the way they kind of split it up is, so you have 8 genders, you have male and female. The other 6 are, it's a little odd. So you have one that, and this is all off memory, so pardon me if it's a little off. I don't remember the exact name of him, but this is how it kind of.
If you're on my screen, I have it pulled up.
I can't see it, unfortunately.
Oh, you can't? Okay. I can read what they talk about real quick.
I see it real quick.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, so it's a male that has female characteristics, right? A male that has like none, that they're indeterminate, and then a male that has female characteristics, but it's not natural, it's man-made or human influenced. And then it's the same thing for the women going to a man. So they have, now I want to wait till we have a little more time to explain the full thing, but that's their gist in the Talmud and the Mishnah. There's actually 8, and this kind of goes back to their whole. Well, I'll save that part for next time. But
Okay.
this is not because transgenderism in the Bible doesn't really occur, or it's not that it doesn't occur, but it's not considered something you should engage in by any means. And the lovely Mishnah or Talmud, it's kind of there to be pushed, but they also push a lot of sexual degeneracy. But I'll get a little more into that next time before we kind of just blow the whole load in 15 minutes as opposed to going through everything the right way.
No, I mean, we want to do it justice. I want to make sure that we have time to go through it correctly. I know this actually has gone on a lot longer than what we probably were expecting, but I feel like some of these topics, man, you just can't help but go further into it. So I actually thought, it went pretty well. I like to think that those definitions and stuff that I'm displaying help, because a lot of times when we're talking about these subjects, I think we automatically assume that people know all of these terms, what they mean, and that they're already somewhat aware. And a lot of times you'd probably be surprised. Like, there might be multiple people that don't know gender dysphoria is. There might be multiple people who have heard transgenderism. They may not 100% know what it was. Mental health. They may have an idea what mental health is, but they may not have known all the aspects in which mental health can be used. So that's why I like to do it. Hopefully it does help the audience. But does anybody have anything else they'd like to add? I know it's getting late, at least for us. We've been doing this for already 2 hours, and we're doing it after work. So it's a little long, this podcast. But I wanted to check and see if there's anything else you guys want to share before we call it.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. What about you, Craven? I didn't quite hear.
I said same. I mean, been a pleasure.
I mean, come on, guys. You're not guests here, so Anyways, we're going to go ahead and wrap things up then. Everybody, thank you for watching. We love you guys. We'd appreciate comments if you agree with us, if you disagree with us. I know all of us here would love to debate with you guys. At least I know me and Craven absolutely would enjoy it. So we will try to get to everybody. Whoever watches this and wants the comments, we strongly support it. And please comment, subscribe. We love you guys. Hope you have a wonderful night. The Crusade Cast out.